Hey there, welcome to the Summit Host Hangout podcast where you'll learn how to plan, strategize, and launch your profitable online summit. No influencer status necessary. I'm your host, Krista from Summit in a Box, and we're talking about a topic I get asked about a lot, which is how to host a summit with no email list or a very small email list. So that's exactly what we'll talk about today. We're going to cover whether you can host a successful summit with no email list, whether you should worry about speakers asking you about your email list size, and strategies you can take to ensure your list size doesn't hold you back. Before we dive in, I want to point out a free resource I have to help you get even more powerful results with your summit using little to no email list. And that freebie is a PDF all about my 12 best summit hosting secrets. Each secret you put into place will ensure your small email list matters less and less, and you can get it today at summithosthangout.com/secrets. Anytime you do something new in business, you are generally met with feelings of imposter syndrome. This is especially true for something as big and public as hosting an online summit. And I get all kinds of doubt-filled questions from those thinking of hosting a summit for the first time. One of the most popular is something like, but what if I don't have an email list? Can I still host a summit then? My answer is always no email list, no problem. I actually ran my first summit with the email list of just 500 people. Now, for anyone without an email list, 500 might seem like a lot, but when you're reaching out to speakers with large existing lists, whether you have 0 subscribers or 500 does not make much of a difference to them. So if you're looking at that number 500 and thinking it sounds like a lot, it really isn't in this online business space. I'm guessing most of you listening have lists bigger than that. So in my time hosting summits, I have never had a speaker ask me about the size of my email list, although we will touch on what to do if someone asks you later in this episode. But I just want you to know, a lot of the time it's something you don't have to worry about at all. I've run 3 summits up to this point. No one has ever asked me. So putting all self-doubt aside, let's talk about the 2 big pieces that go into hosting an online summit with no email list. The power of an online summit comes from bringing together a group of experts, all with their own audience. The expertise they bring to provide to your summit is great, but they also bring in an audience of their own. So while you might not have an audience, your speakers will, or most of your speakers will. Now keep in mind, this does mean you can't choose all speakers that are just starting out if that's where you are. You have to be brave and pitch more established business owners. Even if you're sure they will say no, you have to be brave and pitch some more established business owners, even if you're sure they'll say no. And I can tell you from experience that you'll be surprised at how many actually say yes. With that, though, you have to make it really easy for your speakers to share about the summit so you can get a return from those audiences they have. If it's difficult for them to share, or if they have to make it all up from scratch on their own, they're not going to, and you are not going to see any of those audiences you've worked so hard to gather. So to do that, just have resources for your speakers, things like email swipe copy, social media swipe copy, social media graphics. I even like to include a schedule of exactly what they should send and post when, so they don't have to think about it. They can take the resources that you create, hand them off to a virtual assistant, and share with their audience without doing any extra work. And to make this easy, what I like to do is write all my own copy first, have my designer make all my graphics first, and then repurpose all of those for my speakers. Most of the graphics can just be used directly, and your email swipe copy, you just tweak and put in little placeholders so your speakers can customize those emails you've already written. So right there, just with utilizing your speakers and giving them the resources they need to spread the word, you've already increased your reach by thousands of people, and it doesn't matter if you have no email list. Your speakers will bring the email list. Now, along with your speakers, you can have separate affiliates who share about the summit in return for a percentage of any sales made through their link. Now, of course, this means you need to be selling at least an all access pass, but that's something I would recommend that any summit host does anyways. And you can learn more about selling an all access pass in episodes 9 through 11 of this podcast. But having affiliates in addition to your speakers is a great way to increase the reach of your summit from people who either aren't interested in speaking, who aren't the best fit for the summit, or maybe you just didn't have room to include everyone you would have liked to, but they still have a relevant target audience. So for example, with my first summit, it was for designers who wanted to simplify and grow their design businesses. I knew a Google Analytics expert who targeted designers, and I didn't have a space for her to speak at that time, but I reached out to her to ask her to be an affiliate instead because she had a very relevant audience. I knew she'd be a great person to help reach more people without being a speaker, and I knew she'd love to be a part of it. And I am no expert in affiliate programs, but my friend Zoe Linda is a wizard when it comes to it. And in the show notes, I have a link to her affiliate program checklist to help you get started with utilizing affiliates for your virtual summit. So definitely check that out. She was also on episode 12 of the podcast, so you'll want to go back and listen to that. She talked all about using affiliates in an online summit. So even though it's a little extra work to line up affiliates in addition to your speakers, it's definitely worth it if you're worried about not hosting a big enough summit due to your own list size. Now, speakers and affiliates were the first part of this. The second part of this is paid advertising. Facebook ads can be a great way to bring in additional traffic to your summit. And the best part is that you don't have to have a huge budget. So if you're not a Facebook ads expert, don't worry. My first summit, I spent about $55 on ads, and that got me 68 signups that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And as you can tell by that low budget, I was hesitant to run ads at that time. I was even careful with my last two summits. But now looking back at those numbers, I wish I would have pumped a whole lot more money into it so I could have gotten an even bigger return. And you can bet I'll be doing that next time. I'll be bringing on a Facebook ads manager to take care of all of that for me because you can get such great results through Facebook ads. And if you don't have your own email list, this is a way to bring in your own audience without relying completely on other people. Now I want to change gears a little bit and talk about what to do if a speaker asks about your list size. If you reach out to a speaker and they do respond asking about the size of your email list, it is honestly nothing to worry about. Just be honest. When you respond to them, include names of the more popular speakers you have already landed and remind them of the other benefits of participating in the summit other than just whatever your list size contributes to. When you're mentioning the names of this other speakers that said yes, it might help them decide, if this person is speaking, then I'm going to too. I don't care about the list size. If they choose not to speak because you have no existing list, it doesn't say anything about your self-worth or the success of your summit. So just keep that in mind. That's some kind of barrier they have. That's some kind of rule they've made for your business. It doesn't say anything about you or your summit. And once your first summit is out of the way, you are going to have a bigger email list as well as speakers and attendees with great things to say. So people who said no the first time might say yes the next time. That actually happened to me in my two big summits. I pitched someone the first year, she wasn't interested. The second year, I was able to let her know right up front how many designers specifically were included because I knew she would be interested, and she said yes right away. So I don't want you to let your email list size hold you back. A summit is an amazing way to grow your email list, and I like to point out that it's totally backwards to wait until you're an influencer or until you have a big email list to host a summit, because a summit will make you a bigger influencer or closer to an influencer, and it will give you that email list. So it's completely backwards to wait. So your action step for today is, well, it sounds simple. I know it's not actually simple in practice, but it's to stop holding yourself back and get to planning that summit. Stop worrying about your list size. If someone cares about it, that doesn't say anything about you. Get to planning that summit. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. For show notes and the resources I mentioned, head to summitHostHangout.com/015. In the next episode, we are starting a new series all about your summit speakers, which I'm so excited about. And we're going to start with how to connect with potential speakers. So stay tuned for that. Now go out and take action to plan, strategize, and launch your profitable online summit. Remember, the strategies we talked about today can help you host a successful summit even with no email list. But for even better results, be sure to follow the tips in my free PDF containing 12 secrets for launching a profitable online summit. And you can get that at summitHostHangout.com/secrets.